Welcome to my September reading update. And I'm going to go over all the books that I read in September. I think there are 5 books that I read and or finished in, not October. Did I say October? September. We're in September. This is my September reading update. So let's go. Okay, it took me a really long time to get the page situated. But the first book that I finished in September was when I started reading in August, but it is The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. This book was recommended to me by one of the YouTubers that I watch, and what sold me was that I forget what time period it's set in, like 18 somethings England, and there are these like wooden cutouts of people that move around, and that's what sold me. I really enjoyed this book. And as you see, I rated it 5 stars because it was so fantastic. Because it was, what's the word I want? Really like that gothic feel. And it never quite explained, spoiler, it never quite explains what the cutouts are. They just are. And that is one of my favorite things about horror. Is I use the word hate loosely there. I really don't like when in like horror stories, especially like horror movies, where the first act and like the second act really good, but then like the third act like really slows down because they're trying to like solve what the monster is, or like that's usually where it loses me because I'm like, I don't care about the backstory and emotional situation of like the monster or the bad person. I just want it to be spooky. Silent Companions, 5 star read. It was fantastic. It is definitely in the running for like my favorite book of this year because it was just so refreshing. And I would be reading her next book if it wasn't $15 for the ebook. But I highly recommend The Silent Companions if you want something spooky and gothic and just very well written. Like the ending got me. I was just like, because usually, the ending is kind of like you're ready for it to end, but no, the ending of this one was fantastic. Ooh, I also read The Raven Scholar. This book absolutely took me by surprise. I want to say this was a book that was recommended by Ali Hazelwood, and right now she is 2 for 2. This is the second book that I've read that she has recommended, and this book is fantastic. One little thing about this book is that it did take me several chapters, like 20% in, to get used to how it is being told. Because I don't say jumps around in perspective, but the perspective is not the normal like third person limited that I'm used to. It's very well done. This book is excellent. And it's like, I'm just gonna read the description. It's like an epic high fantasy. No, it's like high fantasy. It's not high fantasy like the traditional high fantasy, but it's got like imperial intrigue. There's a competition, and then you have the main character who is a nerdy girl who struggles to make friends, who is actually very intelligent. Like if you want a book that has, a main character that's supposed to be really intelligent and who actually is intelligent and uses that intelligence, definitely recommend The Raven Scholar. It's very well done. Like, I definitely felt a kingship with the main character because I also prefer books to people and I also struggle to make friends. And I also have people that dislike me for reasons I don't quite understand. But I am very much looking forward to the next book in this series because, again, this book went in a direction that I did not see coming, that I felt was very refreshing as far as like fantasy goes. Because it starts out kind of going in one direction, and then like it really feels like every chapter like went in a direction that I just was not anticipating. And there were several moments where I'm like, oh, it's gonna do like this thing, and then it would do something completely different. It's just like I'm having struggling. I'm struggling with putting my thoughts together on this book because it was just good. Like the story and the plot and just how the scenes were unfolded and how certain scenes that you thought were going to be, oh, we're going to spend time with this, and we're just like, oh no, we are going to skip over that. This is what happened. We're going to go to this more important scene over here. But it's so well done and well written and just good. It's a good book. This book is definitely in the runnings for my favorite book. And I don't know how I'm going to choose between it and like The Silent Companions and then also Blood Over Brighthaven. That book was also really good. But I am definitely looking forward to like the next book in this series. Highly, highly recommend if you want something a little refreshing in the fantasy space. Then I read Wayward. This book has been on my Kindle for a while, and I'm trying to remember when I got this book. I think I bought it. It was on sale, and I think I got it in like my sprint that I had where I wanted cottagecore. This book has cottagecore elements, but it reads like more women's fiction than cottagecore, if that makes sense. I thought it was going to be more of a cozy read, but there are certain things that happen in this book that are not cozy. And I got to a certain scene in this book, and I did not want to continue reading. Like, I almost DNF'd this book halfway through, but I didn't because I wanted to know what happened. This book, it takes, like, there's 3 timelines going on. These 3 wayward women who are all kind of related to each other, and how they're basically fighting the same situation just over and over again. This wayward woman fighting against the patriarchy. And I didn't care for certain things in this book. Now, don't get me wrong, it's well written. Like, if you like that women's fiction with a little bit of cottagecore, magical realism thrown in there, definitely give this book a try. It's very well written. The writing itself is very lovely. I wanted more cottagecore. I wanted more witchy vibes, less historical setting, less historical women's fiction, and more cottagecore, cozy cottagecore. Yes, I did not care for this book. However, that doesn't mean it's a bad book. It's well written. The ending comes together very nicely. All 3 of these timelines are tied together very nicely. There are certain plotting elements that are done very well. It just wasn't for me. And I finally finished. Let me get my mouse off the screen there. It's bothering me. I finally finished The Road of Bones. And I was listening to the audiobook of this. So it took me a while to get through it because I listened to audiobooks on my way to work and my way home. So I only listened to like 20 minutes. Well, 20 there, 20 back, unless I don't feel like it. So maybe 40 minutes, 3 days a week. Because I carpool the other 2. But this book, I enjoyed like the first half. It kind of slowed down there at like this, just after like the midpoint, 60% maybe. And I really thought, I'm just listening to this book. I don't have a concept of how far in the story we are. And I'm like, man, are we getting to the end? This is it's weird. So I looked at my phone and it was, I think at like 62 or 3%. I'm like, what's going to happen? Everyone's happy. Everything's fine. Oh no. That I remember having that moment in this book. And then that last 40%, it goes and it doesn't stop and it goes hard in the best possible way. Like this story, this is romantic, but there's plot. Like this book series is a fantastic example of like, if you want that romantasy vibe, that romance, but you also want plot. They are perfectly woven together in this book, and it is so amazing. Like, enough that I bought book 2 immediately. I can't tell you how much it cost, but I wanted book 2, and I wanted book 2 now, and I am currently 41% through book 2. I'm reading it on the ebook. I'm reading it before bed. Oh no, this book, it hit all the right notes for that epic fantasy with romance. It's more than just like a side plot. It's very much kind of there. It's like a romantasy, but also epic high fantasy. I love this book. And again, I am almost halfway through book 2. And there's a book 3. And then there's a novella that follows a different character through the events of book 2. So I'm probably going to read that because I really like the side characters. And I honestly want to know what they're doing. And it's just, and it's very um Viking themed. Like it's got like I listened to the audiobook, which to be honest was probably a good choice because there are a lot of Viking Nordic sounding words and names that I would have pronounced very incorrectly. Road of Bones, absolutely fantastic. Also in the running for favorite book. Maybe I should do like categories of favorite book of 2025 because there's a lot of books that are like, wow, these are really good. Like my 3 favorite books or something. I don't know because I there's gonna be a lot to choose from. And lastly, I read The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. This book, I wanted something cozy and low stress to read before bed. And this book was exactly that. This book was a quick read, it was a fun read. The main character is refreshing and sassy, but it doesn't like try to be too cozy, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't feel cheesy, which is why I really don't like I typically don't like books like this because they just feel like a bad Hallmark movie, and I hate Hallmark movies so much. They're just so just bleh. You know what I mean? Like the writing's bad, the acting is bad. They're just not good. And so I'm very skeptical when I go into books like this because I fear that they're going to be just like one of those. But no, this book was fantastic. It was well written, the characters were well done, and like there's children, like these 3 little witches that she goes to like tutor. And I typically don't like books with children in them because either one, they're going to be really obnoxious, or 2, they're going to not feel like they're children because they're being written by an adult and it's just weird. But no, these kids were fun. Kids were fun to read. So if you want something that is witchy and cozy, contemporary, definitely check out this book. And I have this author, I Sangu. I feel like I mispronounced that name. I feel like I just kind of butchered it a little bit. But I definitely have her next book on like my Kindle wish list for when I want something cozy. And it's about like an innkeeper or something, I think. But again, I think the Kindle was like $15. And I'm like, I don't want to read it that much. That's a lot of money for something that I'm going to read in like 3 days. Again, ebook prices. What is up with ebook prices? So I was like, no, I need to read the books that I have on my Kindle. So those are all the books that I read in September. That's a lot of books. Like I'm reading more this year than I did last year or the year before. And definitely because of I think audiobooks. I'm listening to more audiobooks. I bought fancy headphones to wear when I'm doing things around the house so I can listen to audiobooks. And that's definitely been a plus. And I'm also reading shorter books, like the witchy book. I think I read that in like 3 or 4 days because I'm making a attempt to read before bed every night, and it's helped. Like I'm getting more books in, and as an author myself, it is very important, of the utmost importance, if you will, to read and read widely and not just read in your genre, and to be reading books that are coming out, reading the bestsellers, reading the books that didn't sell so well to see maybe why they didn't sell so well. And it all goes into like your creative reservoir, I guess, is the term I'm going to use for it. But of those, I don't know if I have a favorite. I mean, not Wayward, but The Road of Bones was really good. It kind of drug a little bit in the middle. The Raven Scholar was really good. It didn't drag anywhere. But The Silent Companions was also really good. It's between The Silent Companions, I think, and The Raven Scholar. Although, The Road of Bones, though, I immediately bought book 2. I would have bought book 2 of The Raven Scholar had it been available. It's not available yet. Story of my life, finding books and loving book 1, and then book 2 doesn't come out for 6 months. I need to start finding books that are finished. Like series that are finished. Or read the series that are finished that are already sitting on my bookshelf. But those are all the books that I read in September. I got a stack of books that I want to read for October. And they're all spooky books. I have several spooky books that I want to read. Like I have Buffalo Hunter Hunter here sitting on the pretty shelf behind me. I have The Library at Hellbore also sitting on these pretty shelves behind me. Both of them were Owlcrate books. I'm currently reading Cold Eternity by S.A. Barnes, a sci-fi horror and we just met the monster. So it's like, ugh. So we're getting, the story is really picked up. But stay tuned if you want to see what I read for October and how I feel about those books. I will be doing another one of these at the end of October, unless I read a book that is absolutely just phenomenal. I have to talk about it immediately. I probably won't, just because that's more work for me. But stay tuned for more reading updates. Let me know what your favorite book of September, or if you've read one of the books that I read and you really liked it, let me know your thoughts. You know, this is the kind of the point. This is kind of something I wanted to do with this channel, which was to talk about books, to build kind of the community around books and books that we really like, and to share books that we may or may not have ever heard of before. So let me know. I will see you in my next reading update, hopefully at the end of October, unless you want to go check out other things that I did, that I have done. Wow, I write books. Either way, thank you for joining me on this little reading update. I will see you later.